Welcome to the Ray Porter Memorial Race. My name is Taylor, and I'm going to be racing with my brother Rusty, who just started. We're doing a two-man relay, so we're going to be trading off laps. And this is a race, but it's also a fundraiser for the Big Pig Cancer Foundation. And the idea is to race as many laps as you can in 6 hours. So we just started at 4 p.m., and we're going to go until 10 p.m. Like I said, my brother Rusty and I will be switching laps. The goal for us is he thinks he can do about a 34-minute lap average. I think I can do about 38. Together, that averages 36 minutes, which means we should be able to get 10 laps for the entire race, which would be great, assuming everything goes well. I'm going to be recording commentary in between the laps while I wait for my brother to finish, and we'll see how it goes. Here is my first lap. This is where I remembered to turn on my camera, so I didn't capture the handoff with my brother. And this is just a little bit, maybe like a minute or two into the course. So I'm going to give a highlight of the course features through this first lap, and then we'll get back into commentary about the race itself. So right now we're in one of the single track sections, through the wooded areas. And this is, nothing terribly surprising, nothing super advanced in this section, but still, you got some stuff to contend with. Lots of parts of the course, like you saw there, were closed off that are more dangerous, I guess, or more advanced. And it felt kind of silly for them to be closed off on this first lap when I'm fresh and it's bright outside, but toward the end of the day when it's dark out and I was tired, I kind of appreciated that it was more the easy parts of the course that everyone was forced to do. We'll skip through parts of the first lap here. Not every feature was closed. This one was open with a bypass. I chose to do the bypass, although I probably could have managed that drop. It's only like a foot or something like that. And then it goes into the section where I think the segment is called Burma-Palooza. So you're going back and forth on these berms. And I have gotten a lot faster on this segment in recent memory, almost 10 seconds faster over this 1 minute segment. But I'm still not the fastest guy on this. I'm still, figuring out how to manage all these berms, but it's a lot of fun to go down. It reminds me of doing slaloms on a ski slope. After the berms, you end up on the first infield section. This is, I think, a climb, but it's pretty gradual and kind of windy switchbacks, but it's all on this dirt hardpack in the middle with grass on the side. So plenty of room to pass if you want to pass here, but the fast line is through the dirt. After that, it's back onto single track, and I really like this feature with this wooden wall berm thing, and then another little back and forth S-turn on this wooden feature, and then up onto this wooden bridge sort of thing, and then back down into this fast single track section. Really fun. I like all those wooden features. Not too much later, there's this other fork in the road where you can do the wooden feature on the right or the left, where you have to kind of go through this skinny of these trees, and then this deceptively hard right turn that's almost a hairpin. Either the left or the right there are just as easy as far as I'm concerned, and I chose to go left. And then again, we have a more advanced feature closed off on the right here, and we're doing the quote-unquote bypass here on the left. Here's a fun feature where you go down and up, and you have the option to do a jump there kind of on the left, which I bypass, and then down again and back up again. So you really have to crank the pedals to get up this tiny little hill here, but it's really fun to go up and down, up and down. It's kind of like a roller coaster. And visually it was really intimidating the first time I saw that feature, but now it's just super fun to go through that as fast as I can. After all that single track, we get spit out onto another infield section. This crosses over part of the road that's driving further into the park. And this is the same as the previous infield section, except it's mostly downhill. And by the same, I mean you got this dirt race line in the middle and the mowed grass on either side. So easy to pass, and plenty of room. If you make a mistake, you just kind of drift off into the grass a little bit and keep on trucking maybe a little slower. This was the second infield section. Okay, up here on the right, there's a tent. This was something you could pay to shorten your lap, where you cut through there and come out somewhere else on the course, and it cuts off maybe 15 to 20 minutes of your lap time. And I forget how much it cost. My brother and I opted not to do this. We were just going to do the race and go as fast as we could, but it was kind of interesting to have this extra dynamic. Another thing you could do is you could buy a lap from what they called a hired gun, where somebody else would race one of your laps for you. We didn't opt for that either, but they had these options. Again, as I mentioned at the top, this is a fundraiser, so it was really for fundraising, but you could cut some time off your laps if you wanted to go that way. This long infield section is still going, and now we're at the stairway to bacon. So this is where they are doing bacon hand-ups, and I don't know about you, but for me, when I'm doing a max intensity effort, the last thing I want to do is try to chew on a piece of bacon. Although, like right now today, as I record this, that sounds amazing, and I'm really happy that these dudes were here. It's awesome to go through. They had like a microphone, and they were doing some MCing, so that was awesome. Love to see them there, but I did not take advantage of the bacon hand-ups. And then we go into another single track section, so this is the end of that second infield. We're coming up to one of the tricky corners, and this I think is Josue that's going past me, and it was interesting because they were he was part of a two-man team that was almost evenly matched with me and my brother, except they had like the fast and slow person switched. So my brother did the first lap as the fast one, I was doing the second lap as the slow one, and I'd say he's the fast one and the slow one did the first lap, but they were like more evenly matched between them. So it was really dynamic to keep seeing them over and over through the race at like different points on the course. After that infield section, we go to another single track bit. That's one of my favorite little features there, where it's this really tight gap with a left turn downhill through these trees. And the like trail was open during the day. They didn't close it for the race. There weren't too many people out and about, but there were some, so you had to keep your eyes peeled for both pedestrians and other cyclists. But most of the people out on the course were doing this race. Here we come out of the single track back onto infield, and this bit goes for a little while. After that nice infield section, we get dumped back into single track. This part has a bunch of like cobblestones here at the beginning, and then we turn and we're next to a road there on the left, and there's actually a lot of dust. Like whenever a car goes by on that road, there's a lot of dust kicked up. But then this is one of my favorite sections of the course, where you're going like this very slight downhill through these trees, but it's not skinnies where you have to really be worried about your bars clipping, but instead you do like this really fast back and forth like here through all these trees. So this part is super fun. I love this. After that, there's another brief infield section here, and this is normally a great place to take a drink, but somehow I managed to forget my water bottle when I came out for this lap, which wasn't the end of the world because I knew that I'd only be on the course for about 30 or 40 minutes, but still, my mouth was feeling very dry at this point, and I wasn't looking forward to having to like chug water in between or after this lap. But anyway, you can see that's a super short infield section, and then it's back into single track here with this technical hairpin over a root, and this kind of maneuvering continues here. At this point, it gets kind of tricky for me to split the course up into discrete segments because we have lots of places like this where there's just open field off to the right, but still the trees to the left, and then you like go back into the single track. So it's kind of a mix of the infield and single track sections. And these are like kind of camping areas on the right. But yeah, it's still super fun to go through here, and as you can see, like I said, pedestrians on the trail, people hanging out. Really great atmosphere the whole day, kind of like party vibes everywhere on the course when you ran into people. Here's a nice section that I think was recently completed. It's this wooden bridge all the way through this section. Previously, parts of it were like gravel, at least last time I rode it. So this is a big upgrade. I like this a lot better. And then after this, we get spit back out onto a short infield section, I think. Yeah, so really short little reprieve here, just a chance to take a drink if you had a bottle, which I didn't this lap. And then back into this single track uphill. There's a lot of roots here and also like some pavers and stuff like that. So this is trickier than it looks on camera. I know stuff tends to look kind of tame on the camera, but this is a little tough and it's uphill, you can't tell, but you got to try really hard just to move it all here. And then you get back onto this infield section, and you have an infield climb after this part. So this is one of the tougher parts of the course when it comes to like power. After the climb, you have a great downhill that ends with putting you into this infield section where if you're confident and capable, you can carry a lot of speed through these corners before you're forced to like slow down to manage, any of the features or obstacles or anything like that. For me, I feel like I have to slow down a fair bit because I'm still not super confident, but eventually you hit this corner and then like, okay, you got to slow down to go around that. Right here was my only complaint about the course markings. You have to go left, you can't go straight. I happen to know I've ridden this course before, but like the first time I rode this course, it was really easy to think, oh, I could keep going straight here, but you'll quickly find out that that's not the right way to go. And then this is a really fun section of the course where you take this sweeping left-hander, and then it's like a fast technical downhill. And this was great for me to challenge myself to see how little I could use the brakes and how much speed I could carry through all of this. And at the end of that, you hit this bermed corner, go over this stone bridge, and you're into another infield section. And if you're familiar with Irwin Park, this is where we cut off the actual trail and go onto this mode section to get us back to the start finish. This is deceptively hard. It's uphill, it's on the grass, and like you can see, I'm doing 350 watts and going 9 miles an hour. It looks like it should be really easy, but it's actually really hard. I haven't done the course before, but this is apparently a change from previous years where instead of going left onto the road, we hang a right here and go down this hill back into the start finish. And you can see like come down here, hit the bottom, hang a left, and everything off to the right, that's like the start finish and all the like, you know, everyone hanging out, waiting for people to finish laps or just partying, having a good time. There's a race timer there in front of the tree, and then you come around here, this is the timing tent, and boom, hit the lap timer right there. And then we're gonna see my brother up on the left in the green-blue jersey waiting for me. Go. I missed the fist bump there, and then he goes off to start his lap. So that's what the lap change looks like. So I just finished my first lap, which is our team's second lap. My brother Rusty finished his a little faster than I expected, around 32 minutes. I was also a little faster than I expected at 35 minutes. So I'm not sure what's going on. Maybe the course is a little different than when I practiced, but that bodes well for us. Although obviously we're going to get slower as we get more tired and as it gets dark. So I'm excited to see like how disheveled I look on these and what our lap times come out to. Also for me during this lap, I felt like it was a little more like washed out or sandy than it was during my practice, which is weird because it was only a few days ago. So either the course is actually different, or more likely I'm just like more frazzled about it being a race. Anyway, very good first two laps here, and we'll see how it goes. I started my camera a little earlier this lap, so you can see this is the first road crossing near the start finish. I also remembered my water bottle this lap, so that's super nice for me. And a quick note about the strategy that my brother and I were following, which is that we would trade off every lap, and in between laps we would sit in our car and like refuel and cool down and be in the air conditioning, and super nice. We borrowed our dad's electric car for this, so we felt a little better about just sitting there the whole time. But yeah, that turned out to work great, and I'll say that the time in the car went by way faster than the time on the course, even though it was about 30 minutes for each. Didn't feel that way. One of the interesting things about this event is that people of all different skill levels would be on every part of the course for the entire time. It's not like a normal race where once the lead group gets away from you, then you'll only see them when they lap you. Since there were people doing this by themselves, there were 2-man teams and there were 5-man teams, it was like all different skill levels were everywhere all over the course, which again made it really dynamic and fun, and you know, you never knew if you were going to be passing somebody or get passed by somebody. And then like for me personally, this is my second lap, and I felt like this mentally went a lot better than my first one. I was a little too keyed up for the first lap, a little too excited, and then this one I was actually able to like focus on my handling, my maneuvering, and still had plenty of energy in the legs, not too fatigued yet, and it was still bright out, which was nice. It's maybe hard to tell on the footage, but it was really pretty this lap. You know, as the sun's going down and you're into that golden hour, it's just a nice time to be outside. But then, of course, I'm like struggling uphill straight into the sun here. So this is not pretty footage to look at, but it was really nice out on the course. And here I am coming into the start finish. This was probably my favorite lap of the day. I was like feeling good, not totally amped up from the first lap, and it was still bright out. Everything was firing on all cylinders, feeling great. I just finished my second lap, which was 36-ish minutes, so about a minute slower than my last one. Unfortunately, I paused my Garmin during Rusty's lap, so I don't know exactly what his lap time was. I'd have to do some math, but we should have finished our fourth lap at like 6:25 to be on pace, and I think we're around 8 to 10 minutes faster than that, so we're doing good, but the sun is going to go down in like half an hour, so that's going to completely change the dynamic, and I'm really curious to see how that affects my lap time, because I haven't done laps around here in the dark. I've got a ton of lights, so hopefully it doesn't bug me too much, but we'll see. Yeah, let's go, Russ. Here's the start of my third lap. There's my brother Rusty finishing his third lap, and I actually managed to capture the like handoff here on my camera, so finally had the wherewithal to press the camera button. And yeah, this is the start as you saw at the beginning of the last lap. During this lap, or rather before starting this lap, they announced that you had to have lights on your bike to start the lap. So I've got a light on my handlebars and a light on my helmet. They're both crazy bright, so I was feeling good about that. But I've got a full face helmet, I've got a camera on my chin, and I've got a light on the top of my head, so I've got a lot of weight on my head. Fortunately, you know, it was fine, but my neck was a little sore by the end of the race. But anyway, as you can see, it's still bright enough to ride without lights at this point, but it'll quickly get dark. Last lap it was beautiful with the golden hour, and this lap we had this gorgeous sunset to look at, so it was nice on these infield sections to have some pretty stuff to look at before the sun went down. And here I am again, deciding to pass on the bacon hand-ups, although still loving that these guys are out here. So here you can see it looks relatively bright when we're not in the trees, but then as you get in the trees it's actually really dark. I wasn't sure how my GoPro would record this footage, but it kind of captures how it actually looks, and I decided there to turn on my headlight that's on my handlebars. I also eventually will turn on the one on my helmet, but I didn't want to do that while I was trying to maneuver around another rider, and it wasn't dark enough to really need both yet. In general, I really like having both lights. It's nice to have the one on the handlebars illuminating where the bike is going to go, but then also the one on my helmet to like look further up the course to see where I want to go. So if you're wondering about doing lights, I would really very much recommend doing both. I think this is a good example of just how different the course looks, not even in the dark, but at dusk. You know, I've been through this section tons of time doing the DFW summer series and just riding this course for fun, but it's really different to have the trees illuminated so much and to not be able to see as far down the course as you're used to being able to see. So, you know, I don't know what my time was through this segment exactly, but I definitely went slower through here, had to be a lot more careful just because of visibility. Purely for convenience, I left my lights on the entire time. I knew I was going to be charging them in between laps, and I think they would have lasted long enough without it, but it's a lot easier not to have to turn them on and back off again. Also, these people out here camping, having a little fire going there, I wondered what they thought about all these, you know, hundreds of bike riders riding past all through the night. Probably think we're crazy, and maybe we are. One nice thing about riding at night is that the lights make it really easy to see other riders and for them to know that you're behind them without having to say anything. I still call out when I'm passing, but like you don't, you know, it's much easier to be just like aware that there are other riders around you because you can see their lights. Wrapping up my third lap here, and it is like still barely dusk, but pretty much just proper dark out here. And yeah, it's getting a lot more interesting, and we're getting a lot more tired. So still having a lot of fun though, and it's nice to see everybody out here. All right, so that's 3 laps done. As you can tell, it is now dark outside. I just finished that lap with my lights, and it took me, I was 30 seconds faster than my previous lap, so that bodes well. I only have 2 laps left, and my brother's previous lap was like under 32 minutes. So we're doing great on time. I think we're pretty comfortably going to get 10 laps. I don't think there's any way we can do 11. So it's just like, you know, we're competing with the other people that have 10 laps. So here we go, start of lap 4. It is fully dark outside, and I was surprised at how much of a difference this made from like riding in the dusk to riding at dark. In the past, I have only ever ridden at dusk and never at this course. So I experienced this like during the daytime, at dusk, and at night, and it was totally different in each area. In particular, what made this part different was that you can tell looking at the ground that like there's no texture. You can't tell what is hard packed dirt, what is loose, what's sand. And obviously, like, I've ridden this course enough to where I kind of know where those things are, but not enough to like trust 100%. And it was just really strange to look at this and it looks completely flat and gray. So that's not like a trick of the camera. It actually looked like that on the day, and that was a real surprise to me. They are still out here doing the bacon hand-ups. You know, we're out here doing an endurance bike ride. They're doing an endurance barbecue. I love it, but still passing on those during the race. At night with the lights, you can really tell just how dusty it is. When I was riding, I was thinking that this was reminding me of like driving through a snowstorm or something like that. Obviously, it's not whiteout conditions, but there's so much dust in the air being kicked up from like cars driving on nearby roads or the other riders riding through here. And it just is really obvious at night, and during the day, you basically don't see it at all. But yeah, there's a lot of dust in the air. One thing my brother and I didn't anticipate, but is obvious in hindsight, is that we didn't have really any opportunity to just chat with each other about how the race is going. We could like send each other messages that you would see when you were done with your lap. So, we could get a couple words in for every hour that we spend on the course. But normally when we do races, we're in different categories. And so like one of us will finish the race and we'll be able to chat with the other one before their race starts. And also when we're doing like crits or something like that, we can just kind of chat during the race itself. But for this, we only overlapped for like 5 or 10 seconds for each lap when we were doing the handoff. And it wasn't a problem. It's just something we didn't anticipate, and we'll have to like keep in mind if we do this again. So here I am wrapping up lap number 4, and I know I'm getting tired. Like I mentioned, we can't really chat, so I don't know if Rusty's getting tired. I know he's got more endurance than me and typically riding faster than me, but he's doing such faster laps, I don't know if he's getting tired quicker. I don't know. Anyway, he looks fresh here at the start, so good luck to him on his lap. So laps 7 and 8 are done. They were definitely the slowest so far. Lap 7, my brother finished in 33 something, which is his slowest, and I finished lap 8 in about 37 something, so slowest by like a minute for me. But we're still on track to finish 10 laps way ahead of time, and nowhere close to being able to do 11 laps, so we're pretty comfortable in this spot in between. It's definitely really different riding at night. It's like riding on the moon or something like that. Everything looks way different. Even though I've ridden this course tons of times, it's still hard to like have that confidence because it's just, everything looks so different. And I'm definitely starting to feel like fatigued. I've been taking 30-minute breaks every 30 minutes, but also I've been going like, almost max effort for 35 minutes at a time, 4 times in a row. So that's more than 2 hours. And for this next lap, it's my last one, so I'm going to give it everything I've got, and we'll see what our total time is. Here it is, start of the last lap. So this is my 5th lap, the 10th lap for us as a team.
Thank you.
And I am like for sure tired at this point. I can feel it in my legs, I can feel it in my body. And honestly, one of the things I was struggling with in this race, leading up to it and during the race itself, was like how to fuel. I've done long endurance rides before, but I haven't done relays, and I haven't done mountain bike endurance before. So like how do you fuel for a 6-hour ride where you're actually only riding for 3 hours of it? Do you consume the same amount that you would for a 6-hour ride? I don't know. I had bottles with about 75 grams of carbs in them, and I was drinking about one of those an hour. And during this lap, I felt, like a little bit of indigestion or something. So that's probably like I'm out of practice from doing the endurance fueling necessary. But I think that was about right in terms of like calories or grams of carbs, or maybe I should have done a little bit more. Anyway, it was just something I spent a lot of time thinking about during the race and didn't really come to a satisfying conclusion either before, during, or after the race. And yeah, it was just tough, and on top of that, something I didn't anticipate for this relay was that like, obviously it's physically easier to only do half of the laps, but at the same time, when you're doing like a long endurance event, for me at least, you kind of like amp yourself up to it and get locked in and then just like keep turning the cranks. And for this, you had to like flip-flop between being in race mode and being in rest mode. And that was a little strange. Obviously being in rest mode was nice, but like then you got to get right back into it again for the next lap. So not as easy as you might expect for a 2-man relay. Sadly, no Stairway to Bacon on this lap. They had packed up. They were still at the main event, but they weren't hanging out on the course this late in the day. I haven't talked too much about stats, but you can see my heart rate is about 140, which would be like a Z2 effort for me, but I feel like I'm at my limit here, absolutely cracked and not able to push really any harder. Partly, like I said, due to maybe some indigestion, but also partly because I've been on the bike for 2.5, 3 hours at this point, pushing at near max effort. And yeah, it's just hard to keep going at that point. And one thing about mountain biking that I didn't appreciate when I started doing it was that like, it takes a lot of effort just to maneuver around the corners and through the features. So not only do you have to keep pedaling, you have to keep leaning the bike and keep, working the upper body. So it's a real struggle. As I passed this guy, I think he said that like, we're definitely going to finish our lap as long as we don't fall over. And I was like, you know what? That's totally true, but it's still a race. So I got to push through this last little bit. Here it is, the end of my lap 5, lap 10 for our team, the end of the race for us. And yeah, very happy to get over this finish line. I gave it all that I could. Rusty's here on the left telling me we're all done, giving me the thumbs up. and I just go to the final exit here and collapse over my handlebars and pant for a few minutes. So there you have it. So I didn't record commentary at the race after the end of the race because I was totally gassed, and I was like chatting with my brother and everyone else at the event and just enjoying the event itself. They did podiums, and then they did a raffle, and there was like barbecue there. It was all great. Highly recommended. For the last, lap 9, my brother did it in about 33.5 minutes, and I did my last lap in like 38 minutes. So even my slowest last lap was faster, or around what I thought my average was going to be, so I felt great about my lap times. Similarly, my brother felt awesome. We ended up getting 3rd place, so bam, check that out. 3rd place in the 2-man category. And yeah, we had a great time, and we were about 3 minutes behind 2nd place, so like no chance I could have caught up to that, closed that gap. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. My brother did the 1-man like solo thing last year. He said he massively preferred doing the 2-man, so no surprises there. But both of us had a great time, and we'll probably do it again next year. So we hope to see you out there. Again, this is the Ray Porter Memorial Race, which benefits the Big Pig Cancer Foundation, and we did the 2-man relay. So yeah, it was a great race. See you in the next one.